Good morning and happy holidays. This is Mission Control Houston. Welcome and thank you for joining us for today's edition of ISS Update, this day after Christmas, Wednesday, December 26th. Joining us now inside the International Space Station Flight Control Room, consoles decorated with Santa caps and Christmas trees, where the team here has been monitoring the systems aboard the space station and supporting the day's activities of the Expedition 34 crew members. Flight Director Greg Whitney is leading the Orbit 2 team here in the Station Flight Control Room today. And next to him is astronaut Jack Fisher, who is serving as Capcom, relaying all ground messages up to the crew. Now aboard the International Space Station is Commander of the complex, NASA astronaut Kevin Ford, with flight engineers Russian cosmonauts Oleg Novitsky and Yevgeny Tarelkin, who are in their third month in space and now have the help of 3 crew members, flight engineers Roman Romanenko, Chris Hadfield, and Tom Marshburn. The newest crew members of Expedition 34, Romanenko, Hadfield, and Marshburn, arrived to the International Space Station last week on December 21st aboard their Soyuz TMA-07M spacecraft after docking it to the Rassvet module following their launch on December 19th. Today, the newcomers will complete their 5th day in space. Meanwhile, they're aboard the station to greet the new crew members, Commander Ford, with flight engineers Novitsky and Tarelkin launched to the orbiting complex aboard their Soyuz spacecraft as the Expedition 33 crew back in October. Their vehicle docked to the Poisk module of the space station 2 days after their launch on October 25th, and today they will complete 63 consecutive days in space. The space station with its crew aboard is now flying at an altitude of about 250 statute miles. The orbiting facility is on a northeast-east track coming across the North Atlantic Ocean and will eventually, in about 10 minutes, make a southeast turn for a pass across the southern tip of Ireland, the United Kingdom, Germany, Austria, and Romania. The Expedition 34 crew members began their day with some time this morning for work prep, breakfast, morning hygiene, and a daily station inspection. The crew then kicked off the day with the first of 2 daily planning conferences with ground controllers around the world to review the day's activities and plan for the next set of tasks. Commander Ford began his morning working to load new control software of gradient heating furnace to one of the experiment racks in the Japanese module. He then began working with a couple of science experiments. He spent some time reviewing the Lego bricks study that uses the common Lego bricks to demonstrate simple science concepts and how construction works differently in a microgravity environment. Ford also had conducted a session with the reversible figures experiment that studies whether the perception of a figure that can normally be seen to change in perspective or orientation in 2 different ways is affected by microgravity. Commander Ford also took time out today to talk with the University of Notre Dame earlier this morning. We'll replay that live in-flight event later during today's ISS Update. Ford and new station resident flight engineer Chris Hadfield had worked together for a function handover review of correct pulley alignment of the Advanced Resistive Exercise device. This is the exercise system that simulates weightlifting here on Earth. Ford now performs an hour of his daily 2-hour exercise. He will then close out the software load performed earlier this morning and participate in a private medical conference this afternoon. New station resident Chris Hadfield kicked off his day with his 2-hour daily exercise using the Advanced Resistive Exercise device and also the onboard treadmill. He then had some time for continued station orientation. Hadfield then relocated a couple of items stowed in the experiment racks in advance of a couple of experiment operations that will be conducted this week and also next week. Hadfield will participate in a private medical conference, and he'll also perform regular maintenance to the onboard waste and hygiene compartment. Later, he also will perform a session with the reversible figures experiment. And flight engineer Tom Marshburn spent some time this morning with the Lego brick study. He also had some additional time for space station orientation. Marshburn then conducted a review of the onboard refrigerator known as the minus 80-degree laboratory freezer. This is used to store biological and experiment samples that require refrigeration aboard the International Space Station. Marshburn also will participate in a private medical conference and will have time to work on an entry for the journal study. Meanwhile, on the Russian side of the house, flight engineers Novitsky and Tarelkin worked together on the topology experiment that looks at the effect of long-term spaceflight on a crew member's psychophysical state, ability to withstand stress, and to perform and to communicate. Novitsky performed regular daily maintenance to the SOJ, or the Russian Life Support System, while also Romanenko had additional time for crew orientation. Each of the crew members will put in their daily 2 hours of exercise using the onboard gym equipment. Again, that includes a station bicycle, a treadmill, and an advanced resistive exercise device that simulates weightlifting here on Earth. The crew will then wrap the day with a final daily planning conference with the ground and is then scheduled to go to bed at 3:30 p.m. Central Time. This is Mission Control Houston.